So just kind of piggyback, we're not going to get through all of this, but just piggyback off of what we talked about with the M&M experiment here, so we're focusing on the normal curve, okay? And really what the normal curve is showing is this ideal of perfect randomness. Okay, and again, it's an ideal. Your goal is to get as close to this perfect randomness normal curve as possible when you run an experiment. We really just focused on that standard deviation. We said if it's small, it will be less spread, and it'll be tight to the mean. Okay, and if it's large, it will be more spread out, bigger away from the mean, farther away from the mean. All right, but ideally you want to have a really small standard deviation. And we want the mean and the median to be at the center. Okay, so that's our dream when we're talking about this normal curve. We want that mean and median to be smack at the center. Okay, so typically when you see the normal curve drawn out, so we go out 3 standard deviations. So 0, again, represents our mean and our median. And we talked about from that M&M experiment that we're always going to go out 3 standard deviations. So you can see the 1 standard deviation, 2 standard, and 3. This graph happens to count by 0.5s to show you what happens in between one, but we're still going out a total of 3 standard deviations, and we do that in both directions. Okay, they're just also counting by 0.5s. Okay, so a normal curve is symmetric curve. They're symmetrical with a single peak at the mean. So again, we always want to make sure that mean is smack in the middle. When it says normal, that's the key word. The shape of the curve, sometimes people refer to it as the bell curve or mound shape. So if this is the middle, we would see 50% of the distribution to the left and 50% to the right. So half of the distribution lies to the left of the mean and half lies to the right of the mean. The spread, so anytime we talk about spread, the spread of the normal distribution is controlled by the standard deviation. That, again, is telling us how far away we are from the mean. And our goal is to have that small standard deviation. All right, so this says, in this example, shade in the region of the curve that is within, so I'm going to underline, within 1 standard deviation of the mean, and then calculate the percentage of scores in the shaded region. Okay, so I'm going to start at my mean, always label your mean in the middle, and we're going to go out 1, which means we're going 1 above and 1 below, which we calculated yesterday. So I'm going to go 1 above, 1 below, and just lightly shade that in. And it's asking for what that adds up to. What do those percentages add up to? So just grab your calculator and add those percentages together. .2. So 1 standard deviation is approximately, I'll put approximately there, 68.2% of the data. Okay, you definitely want to memorize this. All right, you're going to see 1 standard deviation so often, you don't want to sit here and add every time. And most of the time they don't give you this curve. So you do want to remember that 1 is approximately 68. Don't even worry about the 0.2. It's approximately 68%. Okay, 1 standard deviation. All right. Example 2, shade in the region that lies within 2 standard deviations. So again, I'm going to label the mean, and I'm going to go up 2, and again, just watch what they're counting by. Make sure you go up 2 and down 2. Just going to lightly shade that in so I can read the numbers still. And then we want to use our calculator to approximate 2 standard deviations. So again, just add those together to get your approximation of 2 standard deviations. The table above is shaded too dark for the curve above. approximately how many? 95.4%. Okay, and again, you probably want to memorize that as well. So 68, 95, again, don't worry about the decimal, 68, 95. And let's flip the page and shade in approximately 3 standard deviations. So again, I'm just finding 3 above, 3 below, going in both directions. And then we want to approximate those 3 standard deviations. I don't remember the actual decimal. I know it's 99 point something. 99.7, and again, I'm going to put an approximately, 99.7%. So it's pretty darn close to 100%. Again, we're just trying to get as normal as possible. So again, I want to try to remember 68, 95, 99. It's kind of what I always say to myself when I think standard deviation, or when I think the normal curve. 1 standard deviation, 2 standard deviations, 3. Okay, so 68, 95, 99 is what I'm memorizing. Okay, so for summary, 68, 95, 95, 1 standard deviation, 2 standard deviations, 3 standard deviations, approximately covers that percent of the data. Okay. All right, we're going to try one example here. The weight of candles produced by the New York Candle Company are normally distributed. Circle this word. This is what tells us we can use the curve. Okay, it's got to say the word normally. The mean is 22, and the standard deviation is 2. So the first thing you're going to do every time is draw out a picture for yourself. Okay. Draw your bell curve. The mean is always going to go in the middle. So the mean is 22. Okay. And it says my standard deviation is 2. So I'm just going to add 2 in both directions, and I'm doing it 3 times. We only ever go out 3 standard deviations. So 1 standard deviation would get me to 24. 2 standard deviations would be 26. 3 standard deviations would be 28. And then I go in the opposite direction. Minus 1 would be 20. Minus 2 would be 18. And minus 3 would be 16. Okay. So it says, what percent of candles fall between 20 and 24? So I'm going to draw a line at my 20 and my 24. And I'm going to say, oh, this one's a really nice one because I just went 1 standard deviation. What percent should we know for 1 standard deviation? 68. So I'm going to say 68%. Now, they could get a little trickier like the next one. What percent fell between 19 and 27? Okay, where does 19 fall on here? So yeah, so I'm going to go down 1 1/2. So I'm going to go down 1 1/2. And 27 falls 1 2 1/2 above. Would you agree with that? Okay, so 19 is 1 1/2 down, 27 is 2 1/2 up. Now I'm going to pull up this curve and just flip back to this front page here with your calculator. And we want to go down 1 1/2. So you're going to start here at 1 1/2, and you're going to go up to 2 1/2, and just take those percents and add them together. So feel free to do the pledge, and then take those percents and add them together.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Here are your
Okay, so let's take a moment. I've got a few more things. Take a moment and just add those together from negative 1.5 to 2.5. If someone's got it, feel free to. 92.7? Okay. Percent. All right, part C says, what percent of the candles weigh more than 24 ounces? So I'm going to use this same diagram. I'm going to find 24. Now this one's not like from here to here. It says more than 24. So where am I actually like shading now? 24 and above. Everybody above 24. So 24 was how many standard deviations? 1, so go to your curve. You're going to go from 1, and you're going to add everybody above. You want everybody more than that. Okay, so 1 and above, we're just going to add those percents together.
Join Environmental Club for cleanup around the village of Hamburg. We will be meeting at 9 a.m.
So it's really just reading. Once you draw your graph, read how they're describing what they want you to add together. What do we get in there?
Attention freshmen who applied to the Academy of Finance program.
15.9%. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to squeeze one last one in here, part D. A particular store bought 3,000 candles. How many of them would weigh more than 24 ounces? Now, we just found the percent that weighed more than 24 ounces, right? And if I have 3,000 candles, what would I do with those numbers? Not divide, but multiply. So let's jot that down. We're going to take 0.159 and multiply that by 3,000 to approximate how many candles would weigh more than 24 ounces. So 0.159 times 3,000, again, is approximately 477 candles. Okay? You just have to be real careful where you're adding. So as far as homework goes, we're not doing a ton here. Let's just do, on this practice page, 1 through 4. Okay? Just 1 through 4. So it's a little bit of shading, be careful. And then really just one question. So 1 through 4. Last night's homework, you can literally just rip that whole page out, the front and back that was due. Make sure your name is on it so you get your credit, but that'll be our first homework for the 4th quarter. But yeah, tonight is just 1 through 4. And then again, very heavy on the calculator. Make sure you have your calculator charged and ready to roll here.